Do you find yourself saying yes when you really mean no? Does the fear of disappointing others push you to sacrifice your own needs, values, and goals? If so, you might be caught in the exhausting cycle of people-pleasing. For men, this behavior can be particularly damaging. It eats away at your self-respect, erodes your boundaries, and shifts your focus from your inner principles to the fleeting opinions of others. But there's a way out. Stoic philosophy, inspired by the timeless wisdom of thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, offers a powerful guide to breaking free. It teaches us to prioritize what truly matters, reclaim our inner power, and live a life rooted in purpose and authenticity. If you're ready to stop living for others and start living for yourself, stay tuned. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Chapter 1. Understanding the people-pleaser mindset. People-pleasing often feels like a virtue at first glance. After all, who doesn't want to be liked, avoid conflict, and make others happy? However, beneath the surface lies a dangerous trap. The belief that your worth depends on how others perceive you. This mindset is rooted in a deep desire for validation and an intense fear of rejection. It becomes a cycle where you prioritize others' opinions and needs at the expense of your own self-respect and values. Marcus Aurelius, a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy, captures this perfectly when he writes, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Think about that for a moment. We naturally value our own lives above all else, yet we allow the fleeting and often unreliable judgments of others to dictate how we feel about ourselves. When you consistently prioritize the approval of others, you unknowingly give away control over your life. Every time you say yes to something that conflicts with your true priorities, you weaken your ability to stand firm in your values. Over time, this erodes your sense of identity, leaving you feeling drained, resentful, and trapped in a pattern of behavior that no longer serves you. What's worse is that people-pleasing isn't the same as genuine kindness. True kindness is rooted in strength and self-respect, while people-pleasing is rooted in fear, a misplaced fear of rejection and conflict. In Stoicism, fear is not something to surrender to, but something to confront. Marcus Aurelius and other Stoic thinkers teach us that fear often stems from our false judgments about what truly matters. For example, we fear disapproval because we equate it with failure or inadequacy. But Stoicism reminds us that external opinions are outside our control. What truly matters is how we live according to our principles. This shift in mindset is critical. Instead of asking, "What will they think of me?" begin asking, "Am I acting in alignment with my values?" The people-pleaser mindset thrives on the illusion that pleasing everyone is both possible and necessary. But here's the truth. No matter how hard you try, you will never satisfy everyone's expectations. Marcus Aurelius advises us to remember you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This isn't a call to nihilism, but a call to focus on what truly matters. Living a life of integrity and purpose, not one dictated by the fleeting opinions of others. Recognizing this mindset is the first step to breaking free. Start by reflecting on your patterns of behavior. Why do you feel compelled to say yes when you want to say no? Are you seeking approval or avoiding conflict? Journaling or meditating on these questions can bring clarity. Remember, people-pleasing isn't kindness or selflessness. It's a way of avoiding discomfort. But true growth lies in facing discomfort head-on and choosing to live authentically. The more you align your actions with your inner values, the less power the opinions of others will have over you. The people-pleaser mindset isn't permanent. It's a habit. And with the right mindset, you can break free and start living for yourself. Chapter 2. The Stoic Principle of Inner Control. At the core of Stoicism lies a simple yet profound principle. Focus only on what you can control. Everything else, external events, the actions of others, and their opinions of you, lies beyond your influence. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest proponents of Stoicism, captured this truth succinctly when he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This wisdom is especially powerful when dealing with the tendency to please others, as it redirects your energy from chasing external approval to cultivating inner peace. People-pleasing often stems from the belief that you can control how others feel about you. You bend over backward, altering your actions, words, and even your personality, hoping to win their favor. But no matter how hard you try, you cannot dictate someone else's opinions or feelings. Their judgments are shaped by their own experiences, biases, and values, things entirely outside your control. When you live to please others, you unknowingly place your happiness in their hands, making it fragile and dependent on factors you can never influence. This is a recipe for frustration, anxiety, and ultimately, a loss of self-respect. Stoicism teaches that true strength and freedom come from recognizing the boundary between what you can and cannot control. Ask yourself, can you control someone else's opinion of you? Can you control your own thoughts, actions, and responses? Absolutely. This shift in focus is liberating. Instead of chasing external validation, you learn to ground yourself in your own values and principles. Marcus Aurelius advises us to turn inward, writing, "Look well into yourself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you will always look." By doing so, you begin to understand that your worth isn't tied to anyone else's approval. It's rooted in how well you live, according to your own standards. When you prioritize your inner control, you also protect your energy and emotional well-being. People-pleasing is exhausting because it requires constant adaptation to meet the ever-changing expectations of others. But by embracing the Stoic principle of inner control, you free yourself from this exhausting cycle. You no longer feel the need to seek external validation because you find contentment in knowing that your actions align with your values. This doesn't mean you stop caring about others or become indifferent to their feelings. On the contrary, Stoicism encourages compassion and respect. However, it emphasizes that your actions should be guided by virtue and integrity, not by a fear of disapproval or a desperate need to be liked. Epictetus reminds us, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. By focusing on your response rather than the event itself, you reclaim your power and protect your peace. To internalize this principle, practice self-reflection and mindfulness. When you feel the urge to please someone, pause and ask yourself, is this action aligned with my values, or am I doing this out of fear or a need for approval? The more you practice this awareness, the easier it becomes to act from a place of strength and authenticity. Remember, you cannot control how others perceive you, but you can control how you perceive yourself. And in Stoicism, that is where true freedom lies. Grounding yourself in the principle of inner control is transformative. It shifts your focus from chasing external approval to nurturing your inner strength. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. When you focus on what you can control, your mind, your actions, and your character, you discover that happiness is not something others can give or take away. It is something you create within yourself. Chapter 3. Setting Boundaries with Stoic Discipline. For the people-pleaser, the word no can feel like a weapon, sharp, harsh, and loaded with guilt. You might worry that saying no will disappoint others, lead to conflict, or make you seem selfish. But in reality, failing to set boundaries is what drains your energy, diminishes your self-worth, and pulls you further away from a life aligned with your values. Stoicism offers a powerful antidote to this tendency, the discipline to define and defend your boundaries. Epictetus wisely said, "Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." This is a call to self-awareness and self-respect. Before you can set boundaries, you must first understand what truly matters to you. People-pleasing often comes from a lack of clarity about your own priorities. You find yourself saying yes to tasks, favors, or commitments that conflict with your goals because you haven't taken the time to define those goals. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of living a life guided by your principles. When you identify what you value, integrity, personal growth, meaningful relationships, you create a foundation that makes it easier to determine when to say yes and when to say no. Without this clarity, you risk living a life dictated by others, always bending to their expectations at the cost of your own well-being. Setting boundaries is not selfish, it's an act of self-respect. When you respect yourself enough to protect your time, energy, and values, you set an example for others to do the same. In Stoicism, discipline is the bridge between your intentions and your actions. Saying no to something that doesn't align with your priorities is an act of discipline. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but as Marcus Aurelius reminds us, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. This principle encourages you to act with integrity, even when it's challenging. By setting boundaries, you're not only protecting yourself, but also improving the quality of the help and support you can offer to others. Think of it this way. If you constantly say yes to everything, you spread yourself thin and become less effective. You may even begin to resent those who ask for your help. But when you set boundaries, you ensure that the time and energy you give to others come from a place of strength and willingness, not obligation or exhaustion. This aligns with the Stoic idea that virtue lies in deliberate action, not in overextending yourself to gain approval. Stoicism also teaches us to embrace discomfort as a necessary part of growth. Saying no may lead to awkward conversations or disappointing someone, but that discomfort is temporary. The long-term benefits of living in alignment with your values far outweigh the short-term unease of setting boundaries. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you always own the option of having no opinion. There's never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you cannot control. Remember, you cannot control how others react to your boundaries, but you can control your commitment to living authentically. Practicing boundary setting requires both reflection and courage. Start by identifying situations where you feel drained or resentful. These are often signs that your boundaries have been crossed. Once you've identified your limits, practice communicating them clearly and calmly. For example, instead of simply agreeing to a request you cannot or do not want to fulfill, say, "I appreciate you asking, but I'm unable to commit to that right now." This approach is respectful but firm, and it allows you to honor both yourself and the other person. Ultimately, setting boundaries is about reclaiming your life and aligning your actions with your principles. It's not about shutting people out. It's about creating space for what truly matters. As Epictetus advises, adorn yourself with your values and let them guide you. When you set boundaries with Stoic discipline, you protect your energy, nurture your self-respect, and position yourself to live a life of purpose and authenticity. This is not selfish, it's essential. Chapter 4, Embracing Discomfort and Conflict. For many men, the thought of conflict or discomfort can be paralyzing. It's easier to say yes than to risk confrontation, and avoiding these moments can feel like the safer path. However, this avoidance comes at a high cost. Each time you back down or compromise your values to keep the peace, you chip away at your own sense of self. Stoicism, with its focus on resilience and courage, offers a powerful perspective on discomfort and conflict. Marcus Aurelius reminds us you have to assemble your life yourself, action by action. This means building a life that aligns with your principles, even if it requires facing temporary discomfort or the disapproval of others. Discomfort is an inevitable part of life, and Stoicism teaches us to see it not as a threat, but as an opportunity for growth. When you embrace discomfort, you develop the emotional fortitude to handle difficult situations without being ruled by fear. For the people-pleaser, discomfort often arises from the fear of rejection or the worry that setting boundaries will upset others. But Stoicism reminds us that the opinions and emotions of others are outside our control. What we can control is our response. Marcus Aurelius advises, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. The discomfort that comes with conflict is not a sign of failure. It's often a sign that you're standing firm in your principles. When you prioritize your values over the need to keep others happy, you're living authentically. Authenticity requires courage because it demands that you show up as your true self, even when it's inconvenient or unpopular. Conflict, in this context, becomes a natural byproduct of living with integrity. It's not something to fear, but something to accept as part of the process of living in alignment with your values. Stoicism also teaches us to reframe our perception of conflict. Epictetus said, "Difficulties are things that show a person what they are." When you avoid conflict, you deny yourself the chance to test and strengthen your character. On the other hand, when you face it head-on, you gain clarity about what truly matters to you. Each difficult conversation or moment of discomfort becomes a step toward becoming the person you want to be, someone who lives with purpose and conviction. Avoiding discomfort might feel like a relief in the short term, but it often leads to long-term dissatisfaction. You end up overcommitting, resenting others, and feeling trapped in a life that doesn't reflect your true desires. Embracing discomfort, on the other hand, brings the long-term reward of authenticity and self-respect. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. Living authentically isn't always easy, but it's always worthwhile. One way to practice embracing discomfort is to start small. Say no to a minor request that doesn't align with your priorities and observe how it feels. Notice the initial discomfort, but also pay attention to the sense of relief and empowerment that follows. Over time, you'll become more comfortable with the temporary unease of setting boundaries, and you'll start to see conflict as a natural and even necessary part of a meaningful life. Ultimately, discomfort and conflict are not obstacles to avoid, but challenges to embrace. They are signs that you're stepping outside your comfort zone and prioritizing what truly matters. As Stoicism teaches, the path to a virtuous life is rarely easy, but it's always worth walking. By accepting discomfort as a natural part of growth, you reclaim your power, protect your values, and build a life rooted in authenticity and courage. Chapter 5. Detaching from external validation. One of the greatest traps of people-pleasing is the relentless pursuit of external validation. You may feel compelled to act in ways that earn praise, acceptance, or approval from others, believing that their acknowledgement is the key to your happiness and self-worth. However, Stoicism teaches us that this dependence on external outcomes is a misguided and ultimately unfulfilling way to live. Marcus Aurelius offers timeless wisdom on this matter, saying, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. This quote reminds us that the suffering caused by external validation stems not from the absence of approval, but from our perception that such approval is essential. Seeking validation from others is like chasing a mirage. It appears enticing and satisfying from a distance, but once you reach it, you realize it never truly quenches your thirst. Even when you gain the approval you seek, the satisfaction is temporary. You find yourself needing more, stuck in an endless cycle of performing for others' praise. This dependence on external validation weakens your sense of self, as you become more focused on who others want you to be, rather than who you truly are. Stoicism offers a liberating perspective. The idea that your worth and happiness are independent of external circumstances. Instead of looking outward for approval, Stoicism encourages you to turn inward and focus on aligning your actions with your inner values. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the quality of our lives is determined by the quality of our thoughts and actions, not by the fleeting opinions of others. He writes, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Therefore, guard accordingly and take care that you entertain no notions unsuitable to virtue and reasonable nature." Detaching from external validation doesn't mean becoming indifferent or uncaring about others. It means understanding that your sense of self should not be tied to their approval. Instead of asking, "What do they think of me?" shift your focus to, "Am I acting in alignment with my values?" When your actions are rooted in integrity, you free yourself from the emotional roller coaster of external praise and criticism. This internal grounding allows you to act with purpose and confidence, knowing that your worth comes from within. This principle of detachment also fosters resilience. When you no longer rely on others' validation, you become less vulnerable to their criticism. You recognize that their opinions are shaped by their own perceptions, experiences, and biases, things entirely outside your control. Marcus Aurelius reminds us you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. By focusing on what is within your control, your thoughts, actions, and values, you build an unshakable foundation of self-worth. Practicing detachment from external validation requires mindfulness and intention. Start by paying attention to when you seek approval or feel distressed by criticism. Ask yourself why their opinion matters to you. Is it because you believe it reflects your worth? Or is it because you've placed too much importance on their judgment? Reflect on these moments and remind yourself that your value comes from living according to your principles, not from what others think of you. Detaching from external validation doesn't mean isolating yourself or rejecting feedback. Constructive criticism can be valuable, but it should be weighed against your values, not taken as a definitive measure of your worth. The key is to remain rooted in your inner compass. As Epictetus said, "Seek not the good in external things, seek it in yourselves." Ultimately, detaching from external validation is about reclaiming your power. It allows you to live authentically, free from the need to perform for others' approval. When you focus on aligning your actions with your values rather than chasing external praise, you find a sense of fulfillment that no one can take away. This is the true freedom that Stoicism offers, a life guided by inner strength and virtue, not by the fleeting judgments of others. Chapter 6. Practicing self-awareness. Breaking free from the cycle of people-pleasing begins with understanding yourself on a deeper level. It requires a commitment to self-awareness, an honest and courageous look at your thoughts, fears, and motivations. Why do you seek approval from others? What are you afraid of losing if you disappoint them? These are the questions you must confront if you want to regain control of your life. The Stoic philosopher Seneca offers a profound insight into this process, saying, "A man who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary." This reminds us that much of our emotional turmoil comes not from reality itself, but from our exaggerated fears and anxieties about what might happen. People-pleasing often stems from an underlying fear of rejection, conflict, or being perceived as selfish. These fears keep you trapped in a constant need to gain approval, even at the cost of your own well-being. But how often do these fears actually manifest? More often than not, the rejection or criticism you dread is far less significant than you imagine. Yet, by anticipating the worst, you create unnecessary suffering and allow these fears to control your behavior. Practicing self-awareness allows you to examine these fears and challenge their validity. Ask yourself, what is the worst that could happen if I say no or prioritize my own needs? Will this person's disappointment truly harm me, or is it simply uncomfortable? By reflecting on these questions, you often realize that your fears are exaggerated and the consequences you imagine are not as dire as they seem. This realization weakens the hold these fears have on you and empowers you to act from a place of integrity rather than fear. Self-awareness also involves recognizing the patterns that drive your need for approval. Are you saying yes to avoid conflict? Are you seeking praise to feel valued? Identifying these patterns helps you understand the root of your people-pleasing tendencies. Once you uncover these motivations, you can begin to replace them with healthier habits and thought processes. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if thou wilt ever dig." Self-awareness is the act of digging, of uncovering the inner truths that guide your behavior. To cultivate self-awareness, Stoicism encourages practices like journaling and meditation. Journaling is a powerful tool for reflecting on your thoughts and actions. Write down moments when you felt compelled to please others and explore why you acted that way. What were you hoping to achieve? Did it align with your values? By documenting your experiences, you gain clarity about your motivations and can begin to identify patterns that need to change. Meditation, another cornerstone of Stoic practice, helps you develop mindfulness and emotional clarity. Spend time each day in quiet reflection, observing your thoughts without judgment. This practice allows you to separate yourself from your fears and anxieties, giving you the space to respond to situations with reason and intention rather than emotional reactivity. As Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Meditation helps you master your mind, making you less susceptible to the external pressures that fuel people-pleasing. Self-awareness is not a one-time achievement. It's an ongoing practice. It requires consistent effort to question your thoughts, reflect on your actions, and align yourself with your values. Over time, this process strengthens your inner compass, making it easier to navigate life with authenticity and courage. Seneca reminds us, the greatest thing is to know how to belong to oneself. Practicing self-awareness allows you to reclaim ownership of your life, breaking free from the need to seek validation from others. Ultimately, self-awareness is the foundation of personal growth. It helps you understand why you've fallen into the habit of people-pleasing and equips you with the tools to break free. When you know yourself deeply, you can act with confidence and purpose, guided by your values rather than the expectations of others. This is the path to true freedom and fulfillment, as taught by the Stoics. Chapter 7. The courage to prioritize your values. Living authentically is not a passive state. It requires active courage, especially for those who have fallen into the habit of people-pleasing. To live authentically is to stand firmly in your own values, to act according to what truly matters to you, rather than what others expect or demand. Stoicism is a philosophy rooted in bravery and strength, and it teaches us that real courage is not the absence of fear, but the resolve to act according to one's principles, even when external forces try to sway us. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This is a call to action. It's not enough to theorize about the kind of person you want to be. You must actively live it, day by day, in every decision and action. The first step in living authentically is to decide what values are most important to you. Integrity, honesty, self-respect, these are the cornerstones of a life lived with purpose. It's easy to get swept away by the opinions and needs of others, especially when they expect you to compromise your values to gain their approval. People-pleasing thrives when you don't have a clear sense of what matters most to you. But when you identify your core values and let them guide your actions, you create a solid foundation that no external pressure can easily undermine. For example, if integrity is one of your highest values, you'll find that the fear of disappointing someone becomes less powerful. When faced with a request that conflicts with your values, you'll have the courage to say no, because you know that upholding your principles is more important than seeking approval or avoiding conflict. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, what stands in the way becomes the way. The very obstacles that once made people-pleasing seem like the easier option. Conflict, discomfort, the fear of rejection become opportunities for you to practice courage and align your actions with your values. The courage to prioritize your values also means learning to face discomfort head-on. For many men, the habit of people-pleasing is rooted in a fear of rejection or the discomfort of saying no. But as the Stoics teach, the discomfort of staying true to your values is temporary, and it leads to long-term fulfillment. People may be upset in the short term, but when you prioritize your integrity, you grow stronger in your conviction. Over time, you'll find that the external pressure to please others begins to lose its grip on you. Your internal compass, your values, becomes the stronger force guiding your actions. Living according to your principles also requires letting go of the need for external validation. When you act from a place of integrity and self-respect, you don't need to seek praise or approval from others. You're no longer concerned with fitting into others' expectations or changing your behavior to gain their favor. As Epictetus said, it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. When your opinions about yourself are rooted in your own values rather than the opinions of others, you free yourself from the trap of people-pleasing. This shift in mindset, the courage to prioritize your values, makes it easier to face difficult situations and decisions. When you know what matters most, it becomes clear how to act in any given moment. You no longer need to wrestle with guilt or anxiety when saying no or disappointing someone, because you understand that living according to your principles is the truest form of respect you can show yourself and others. In practicing Stoicism, you recognize that living authentically isn't always easy, but it's always the right path. The Stoic virtues, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, become the guiding lights that help you navigate the challenges of life. And while the fear of rejection or discomfort may arise, it's in these moments that your courage is tested and strengthened. Ultimately, the courage to prioritize your values is the key to stopping people-pleasing. When your values are clear and firmly rooted, you no longer need to look outward for validation or approval. You act from a place of strength and self-respect, knowing that living authentically is the highest form of personal fulfillment. As you align your actions with your values, you naturally stop being a people-pleaser, and instead, you become the man you've always aspired to be, a man of integrity, courage, and purpose. Chapter 8. Finding Peace Through Acceptance. The final step in breaking free from people-pleasing is embracing the Stoic practice of acceptance. Life is filled with uncontrollable factors, others' opinions, their actions, and how they choose to perceive you. And as much as we might wish to control these external circumstances, Stoicism teaches us that true peace comes not from controlling the world around us, but from accepting what we cannot change. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher-emperor, wisely advised, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." This message is both profound and liberating. It encourages you to embrace life as it is, not as you wish it would be. The reality is, no matter how hard you try to please everyone, not everyone will like you or approve of your actions. This is an inescapable truth, and the more you resist it, the more you increase your own suffering. When you constantly seek to win the approval of others, you become enslaved to their judgments. You begin to tailor your actions to their desires, losing sight of your own values and sense of self. This is the trap of people-pleasing, and the only way out is through acceptance. Acceptance is not about resignation or indifference. Rather, it's a form of peace, a way to acknowledge that some things are simply beyond your control. You can't control how others feel, how they view you, or whether they approve of your choices, but you can control how you respond to these things. Instead of trying to mold yourself to fit the expectations of others, Stoicism encourages you to live according to your own principles, knowing that external validation is ultimately fleeting and unreliable. When you accept the fact that not everyone will like you, a weight is lifted off your shoulders. You no longer need to worry about pleasing others at the expense of your own integrity. Instead, you focus on living a virtuous life, one that is guided by your values, not the approval of others. You understand that the only person whose opinion truly matters is your own. As Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. When your thoughts are aligned with virtue, peace follows naturally, regardless of the opinions of others. Acceptance also means letting go of the need to control how others perceive you. The Stoics taught that it's not the events themselves that disturb us, but our judgment of those events. When you stop worrying about how others see you, you free yourself from the emotional turbulence that often comes with seeking approval. Instead of spending energy on the external world and its judgments, you turn inward and focus on cultivating the virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These internal qualities are yours to control, and they provide the foundation for true peace. Furthermore, accepting others as they are without trying to change them or seeking their approval creates space for healthier, more authentic relationships. By letting go of the need to please others, you allow them to be themselves without projecting your own fears or insecurities onto them. This freedom fosters deeper connections and mutual respect, as both you and those around you can act without pretense. Acceptance is not about tolerating mistreatment or allowing others to take advantage of you. It's about understanding that some things are beyond your control, and that's perfectly fine. It's about recognizing that you have the power to choose how you respond to life's challenges, and that peace comes from within, not from external validation. As you practice acceptance, you begin to find a profound sense of freedom. You no longer need to chase after approval or fear rejection. Instead, you focus on what you can control, your own actions, your own values, and your own peace of mind. This is the ultimate Stoic lesson, that true happiness and peace come from within, not from the external world. When you live with acceptance, you free yourself from the chains of people-pleasing, and you create a life that is genuinely your own, anchored in virtue and authenticity. Breaking free from the habit of people-pleasing isn't something that happens overnight, but it is essential for living a life of fulfillment and true peace. As we've explored through Stoic philosophy, your worth is not dependent on external approval. It resides in your ability to live according to your own principles. By focusing on what you can control, such as your thoughts and actions, and letting go of the things beyond your reach, you regain control over your life. Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Choose to live authentically, with courage and self-respect, and remember that your true value isn't up for negotiation. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support helps us continue making content that empowers you to live your best life.